Okay, get ready because today we are going on a deep dive
Ooh, a deep dive.
into the world of the Da Vinci Code.
Okay.
But we're not just going to like rehash the plot or anything like that.
Right.
This is more like a treasure hunt
Okay.
through all those hidden layers and symbols and
Um,
secrets and
I like it.
yeah, and some of those like controversial theories that
Yes.
that really got people talking.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely.
So, are you ready to like unlock some of those secrets?
Absolutely. I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
One of the things that I find really fascinating about the Da Vinci Code
Yeah.
is how it brings together like real historical figures and events
Right.
with these almost unbelievable conspiracies.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder like what's fact and what's fiction.
Right. Like the book is almost like throwing down a gauntlet,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like daring you to question everything you thought you knew.
Yeah.
So speaking of questioning everything, let's start at the very beginning with that dramatic opening scene,
Okay.
the murder at the Louvre.
All right.
I mean, this is not your everyday crime scene.
No, not at all. It's definitely like staged for a purpose.
Yeah.
You know, to make a statement.
Yeah.
The curator, Jacques Saunier,
Right.
he's not just murdered,
Right.
but his body is posed like Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man.
Right.
There's that cryptic message next to him
Right.
with the Fibonacci sequence,
Yeah.
and then there's the pentacle drawn on his body.
It's like he's leaving clues.
It's like a trail of breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Leading to something much bigger.
Exactly. And that's where our symbologist,
Yes.
Robert Langdon, enters the picture.
Right.
You'd think he'd be there to like decipher the symbols and everything.
Yeah.
But he quickly becomes a suspect.
He does talk about wrong place, wrong time.
That's not right.
Really puts Langdon on the run
Yeah.
with Sophie Neveu,
Right.
the
Right.
curator's granddaughter, and also happens to be a cryptologist.
Yeah.
So they have to decipher these clues.
While trying to stay one step ahead of the police.
I remember thinking, okay, a symbologist and a cryptologist on the run.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is where the real treasure hunt begins.
That's it.
Especially when Sophie reveals that her grandfather was a member
Yes.
of this secret society called the Priory of Zion.
The Priory of Zion.
Were you surprised by that when you first read the book?
Well, it definitely adds another layer to the whole mystery, doesn't it?
It does.
The Priory of Zion is portrayed as this ancient organization.
Right.
Supposedly dating back to the Middle Ages.
Wow.
With members like Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton,
Oh, wow.
and the book claims they've been guarding a secret
Right.
that could shake the foundations of Christianity.
Yeah.
What did you think about that? That's some of history's greatest minds.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it made me wonder if we really know
Yeah.
the whole story about anything. And then there's the secret itself, you know, the
Yeah.
Priory of Zion's big reveal.
Hmm.
It all comes down to the Holy Grail.
But not the Grail as we typically think of it.
Exactly. The book kind of throws out that traditional image
Yeah.
of the Holy Grail being a cup, you know,
Yeah.
and presents a completely different interpretation.
Yeah.
And a very bold one.
Yeah. Do you remember when you first read that part
Oh, yeah.
where the book's like, hey, the Holy Grail is not an object, it's a person,
Yeah.
Mary Magdalene.
That's a big one.
And not just any person,
Right.
but potentially the wife of Jesus and mother of his child.
It's a pretty shocking claim.
Yeah. What was your initial reaction to that?
Well, I think it's a moment where the book really throws us a curveball.
Yeah.
You know, suddenly we're not just dealing with a symbologist on the run,
Right.
but with this theory that challenges like traditional Christian beliefs
Yeah.
and suggests that there's this hidden bloodline of Jesus protected by the Priory of Zion.
Right.
It really makes you question everything you've been taught.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
And then on top of that,
Yeah.
we're introduced to Opus Dei, this powerful Catholic sect.
Yeah.
And they're portrayed in the book as being just as obsessed
Yes.
with finding the Grail,
Yeah.
but for very different reasons
Very different reasons.
than the Priory.
It adds a whole other layer of complexity, doesn't it?
Yeah,
And the book certainly portrays Opus Dei in a very controversial light,
it does.
showing them willing to go to extremes
Yeah.
to achieve their goals.
Yeah.
It's a fictional depiction.
Right, of course.
Of course. But
But it raises questions.
yeah, it raises these interesting questions about how different groups might interpret the same truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of interpretation,
Okay.
the book is just filled with symbols and codes.
Oh, it's packed with them.
It's like every page
Yeah.
has another puzzle to solve.
Right.
From the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper
Yeah.
to that pentacle on the curator's body,
Uh-huh.
and even the layout of Paris itself.
Yeah, it's almost overwhelming.
It is.
But the thing that I think is so fascinating is how Dan Brown
Yeah.
weaves these symbols into the story.
Right.
They're not just there for decoration.
Right.
They're clues that Langdon and Sophie have to decipher.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
each one revealing another piece of the puzzle.
Right.
For example, the book suggests that Da Vinci,
Yeah.
who was supposedly a grand master of the priory,
Right.
hid clues about the Grail in his paintings.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but that makes looking at art a lot more intriguing for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It adds like a whole new layer
It
to
does.
art appreciation.
Yeah.
And speaking of intriguing characters,
Okay.
we can't forget Surly Teabing,
Shirley Teabing.
that eccentric Holy Grail expert.
Yeah, he's a great character.
What did you think of him?
Well, Sir Lee is such a good example of how the Da Vinci Code blends real historical details
Right.
with these fictional elements.
Yeah.
So he's this historian, Grail enthusiast,
Yeah.
seems to know like everything about the subject. But there's also this sense that he might have his own agenda.
Yeah. What did you make of him?
I don't know.
I remember when I was reading it, I was like,
Yeah.
is he too good to be true?
Yeah.
You know? That much knowledge and passion about the Grail.
Right.
It just made me wonder if he was hiding something.
It makes you wonder.
So we've got a murder mystery.
Yeah.
We got a secret society,
Right.
a hidden bloodline,
Uh-huh.
and all these like fascinating characters,
Yeah.
all woven together with symbols and codes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Where do you think this wild ride is going to take us next?
I don't know, but I'm ready to find out.
Me too.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, the mystery only gets deeper from here. Remember those strange words the curator wrote next to his body?
Oh, yeah.
1332-211-11850, Draconian Devil. Oh, lame saint.
Right.
It all seemed like a jumble of numbers and cryptic phrases.
I remember I was completely baffled. Like, what is going on here?
Well, that's where Sophie's expertise as a cryptologist comes in.
Right. She realized her grandfather wasn't using some complex code,
Okay.
just a simple rearrangement of the Fibonacci sequence. It was actually pretty clever.
Yeah.
A way to ensure that someone like Sophie, who could see through the trick,
Right.
would be called to the scene.
So it was a message disguised as a code.
Exactly.
But if those numbers weren't the real message,
Right.
what was he trying to tell her?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
The book suggests that even Saunier's dying words were a protest
Okay.
against the established church,
Interesting.
pointing towards the priory of Sion and their secret.
Okay.
The draconian devil could refer to the church's strict doctrines,
Right.
while the lame saint might allude to a distorted view of Jesus.
Okay, so it's like he's trying to expose
Right.
something that the church wants to keep hidden.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
And then there's that whole idea of the Grail being Mary Magdalene,
Right.
to say that the Grail is not an object but a person.
That's a pretty big jump, even for a fictional story.
It is, but remember, we're dealing with symbols here.
Yeah.
The book argues that the Holy Grail is less about a physical object
Okay.
and more about an idea.
Okay.
The idea of the sacred feminine,
Right.
embodied by Mary Magdalene.
Okay.
It suggests that she wasn't just a follower of Jesus, but his wife,
Right.
and that their union represented a balance of male and female energies.
What do you think about that interpretation?
Well, it definitely challenges the traditional narrative,
That does.
doesn't it? And it makes you think about how history is written,
Right.
and who gets to decide what's true.
And that maybe the church suppressed this truth
Right.
to maintain its power and authority.
That's what the book suggests.
Right. And so that's why the Priory of Sion
Yeah,
had to operate in the shadows,
right.
protecting this secret knowledge for centuries.
For centuries.
And now it's this high-stakes game of cat and mouse with Langdon and Sophie trying to uncover the truth
Right.
while being pursued by the police and potentially even Opus Dei.
Yeah, and don't forget all the twists and turns along the way.
Oh, yeah,
This book keeps you guessing until the very end.
it does.
Yeah.
But amidst all the action,
Yeah.
I found myself drawn to, like, the historical and artistic details.
Yeah.
Do you remember that whole section about the symbolism
Oh, yeah.
hidden in Da Vinci's paintings like the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper?
It's like the book opens your eyes to a whole new way of looking at art.
It does.
Suddenly, these familiar masterpieces are filled with these hidden messages,
Right.
secret codes.
It makes you wonder what other secrets are hidden in plain sight.
It does, it does.
And they're using real places, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like St. Sulpice Church,
Yes.
the Louvre Museum,
Uh-huh.
Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland.
Rosslyn Chapel, yeah.
These are all real locations
They are.
that add this layer of authenticity to the story.
Absolutely.
What do you think about the way Dan Brown blends those real-world elements?
I think it's really effective.
Yeah.
You know, it grounds the story in reality.
Right.
Even when it's venturing into these, like, really outlandish theories.
Yeah,
It's like
right.
he's blurring the lines between fact and fiction,
Yeah.
leaving it up to the reader to decide what to believe.
And then there's Surly Teabing,
Yes, Surly Teabing.
who seems like this helpful expert,
Right.
but then turns out he's anything but reliable.
Yeah, that was a twist.
I know that one really caught me off guard.
Yeah,
Because he was so knowledgeable about the Grail.
he was.
I never suspected he had his own agenda.
He's a great example of how appearances can be deceiving.
They can.
And he even sheds light on the true meaning of the Holy Grail
Yeah.
by breaking down the word sangreal
Right.
to reveal royal blood,
Right.
which reinforces the idea that the Grail isn't an object,
Right.
but a bloodline.
Right. The bloodline of Jesus and Mary Magdalene,
That's right.
which completely changes the stakes.
It does.
Now, it's not just about finding a lost artifact,
Right.
but about uncovering a hidden lineage. A family that has been protected for centuries.
Yeah. Right.
But remember Silas, the albino monk?
Yeah.
What did you make of his character?
I found him to be a rather disturbing character.
Yeah.
Really a representation of the more extreme side of religious belief.
I remember that Silas he wore.
Oh, the Silas.
Yeah, that spiked chain for self-mortification.
Oh, yeah. That's a real device used in some Catholic practices.
Wow.
For penance, a stark reminder of the lengths
It is?
some people will go to for their faith.
It's a powerful contrast, isn't it?
It is.
The Priory of Sion shrouded in secrecy, protecting their knowledge,
Uh-huh.
while Silas is inflicting pain on himself as a form of devotion.
Right. Two very different interpretations.
Right. It seems like the book's exploring
Yeah.
all these different interpretations of faith and showing how they can manifest in very different ways.
It's a fascinating exploration, isn't it?
It is.
The Da Vinci Code certainly raises more questions than it answers,
It does.
but that's part of its appeal. It makes you think, it makes you question, it makes you re-examine your own beliefs.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So we've uncovered so much already. Hidden messages,
Right.
secret societies,
Yeah.
ancient symbols,
Right.
and this quest for the truth
Yeah.
that seems to just drive the story forward.
It does.
I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
I think so too.
What other secrets are waiting to be revealed
Well, we'll have to see.
as this treasure hunt continues?
Yeah.
All right, so we're back for the final chapter of our deep dive into the Da Vinci Code, and
Here we are.
the stakes have never been higher.
Yeah.
Langdon and Sophie are in a race against time, trying to solve those clues
Right.
left behind by her grandfather,
Yeah.
while staying one step ahead of the police and that mysterious teacher
Right.
who seems to be pulling the strings.
Huh.
Do you remember how you felt when you first realized who the teacher was?
It was a genuine surprise.
It was,
It really was.
especially after Sir Leigh had been helping them
Yeah, for so long.
for so long.
Makes you question everything you thought you knew
It did.
about the characters and their motivations.
Yeah. What did you think about his justification for his actions?
Well, I think it was a classic case of good intentions gone wrong.
Yeah.
You know, he believed he was doing the right thing,
Sure enough.
bringing the truth about the Grail to light,
Right, yeah.
but his methods were
Questionable.
questionable,
Yeah.
to say the least.
And speaking of the Grail,
Yeah,
the book takes us on this incredible journey to find it.
it does.
I mean, there's the keystone they find at the bank,
Right.
which turns out to be a cryptex.
Yes, another one of Da Vinci's inventions.
Yeah, and then there's that whole section about Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland.
Rosslyn Chapel, a real place,
Yeah.
shrouded in mystery with its intricate carvings and connections to the Knights Templar.
Right.
And the book suggests it holds a key to the Grail and the Priory of Sion,
Yeah.
possibly even hiding the Grail itself.
What did you think about that part of the story? Did you find it believable, or was it a little too far-fetched?
I think it depends on how much you're willing to suspend your disbelief.
Yeah.
For me, it was part of the fun, you know,
Yeah.
getting swept up in this world of secret societies and ancient mysteries.
Right.
But even with all the twists and turns,
Right.
chase through churches and castles,
Yeah.
I have to admit I was surprised by where the Grail ultimately leads them.
It's not what you expect, is it?
No, it's not.
The book kind of subverts our expectations by revealing that the Grail isn't hidden in some remote location,
Right.
but right under their noses the whole time,
Right there.
beneath the Louvre Pyramid.
Exactly.
And it's like the way it ties everything together,
Yeah.
the Louvre, Da Vinci, the Priory of Sion, and the Grail.
It's all connected.
It's all connected in this
Yeah.
way that makes you see those elements in a whole new light.
Absolutely.
But remember, we're not talking about like a physical Grail here.
Right.
The book claims that the real Grail is Mary Magdalene herself.
Yes, or rather her remains,
Right.
buried in a secret chamber beneath the Louvre.
It's such a bold statement,
It is.
that challenges traditional Christian beliefs.
It suggests that Mary Magdalene held a far more significant role
Yeah.
in history than we're typically taught.
Yeah. What did you think about that revelation?
Well, it definitely made me question
Yeah.
the narratives we accept as truth,
Right.
the stories that shape our understanding of history and religion.
And speaking of stories,
Yeah.
what do you think Dan Brown was ultimately trying to say with the Da Vinci Code?
That's a question
I know.
that has sparked countless discussions and debates.
It has.
Hasn't it?
Yeah.
On one level, it's a thrilling adventure story.
Right.
A page-turner that keeps you guessing until the very end.
Keeps you on the edge of your seat.
But on another level, it's a story that challenges assumptions,
Right.
encourages critical thinking,
Yeah.
makes you wonder what other secrets might be hidden in plain sight.
Right.
Whether you believe the book's claims or not,
Right.
it's hard to deny its impact on popular culture
Yeah.
and the way we think about history, religion, and the power of symbols.
It's a book that sparks conversation.
It does.
It makes you question what you believe.
Yeah.
And it encourages you to look at the world with a more critical eye.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day,
Yeah,
isn't that what a good story should do?
I think so.
Yeah.
The Da Vinci Code might be a work of fiction,
Right.
but it has the power to make us think, to question,
Yeah.
and to re-examine our own beliefs.
Yes, and maybe even
Maybe even.
inspire us to go on our own treasure hunts,
Exact.
searching for those hidden truths and meanings
The hidden truths.
that lie beneath the surface
Yes.
of our world.
Well said.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the Da Vinci Code.
I enjoyed it.
Me too.
It was fun.
Remember, this was just a glimpse
A glimpse.
into the world of symbols and secrets and controversial theories
It's a lot to think about.
that the book explores.
Yeah.
If you haven't already, I highly recommend diving into the book yourself.
You really should.
Who knows what secrets you might uncover?
That's right. You never know.